Hello, friends. Welcome back to Honey Apple Farm and, alas, the final day of Dad Days. So, if you're just joining us, my partner Peter and I moved from the city to this formerly abandoned 1830s farmhouse at the end of February after extensive renovations, and were massively overwhelmed with the amount of projects that needed doing. And my dad, bless his beautiful, wonderful heart, offered to come out in April for a week and help us with a number of projects. One of the projects that I was really looking forward to Dad's help with is the door that you see behind me. This is not what the door looked like when we moved in. This actually was the door in the worst shape on the property. It faces south, it faces the driveway, which means that everybody comes and goes from this door. All the winter winds hit it. The screen was falling out of the screen door. The glass was falling out of the door itself. Because the screen door was a screen door, the cracks in the main door in the bottom two panels just let cold air in. And frankly, sitting in this room next to this door was miserable. Now, we did originally consider replacing the door with a modern one. The problem is that door is no longer a standard size for modern construction. So already you're looking at a custom build even before you talk about modern insulation, modern soundproofing, all that stuff. It would have been $4,000 to $6,000 to replace both the storm door and the main door, and we simply didn't have that kind of money. So when Dad said that he thought he could replace the glass and do a lot to stop the air leak, we were thrilled. And so as we tune into this final day of Dad Days, that is the problem we are tackling. So welcome, friends, to Dad Extravaganza Day 7. I was upstairs doing some work this morning, and while I was at work, much progress has happened on the door. The plexiglass is in. The framing is holding it in place. Dad is drilling a hole at an angle because if we go straight through, the nails are too long and they'll poke out the backside. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see that tree across the way is in bloom. And so is the tree in our neighbor's yard. And it is a glorious, glorious spring day. So here she is in her final form. Dad needs to do a little bit of touch up on a couple of the early nails that came through, but otherwise, that is a brand new door insert with actual glass that is actually going to stop the wind from coming in through the door. In the hands of someone who had an idea about what they were doing, it didn't take all that long. Get the glass cut to size, figure out how to nail the trim over the glass to keep it all together. The only thing that's a little tricky is that since this is already nailed in, if we do paint it, that's going to be unpainted, and this is going to be the side that faces in. But it's fine. We may just make that a feature. I am so excited about this. I'm so excited about this. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-da. She's in. She's in place. She's up. She's set in. We only had to try twice to get her in the right place. God, that looks so good. It's going to look even better when the glass is done behind it, obviously, but even that is such an improvement over what was here previously. And most importantly, other than aesthetics, is that there's actually something solid to stop the wind going through, because the screen door actually fits pretty well in its frame. It doesn't need a lot of assistance, which means that the work we do on the inside door, while useful, is a second line of defense. Thinking we might want to do white to match the house and then maybe green trim on the inside. Can you imagine green going across there? That might look really good. So door project part 2 has just started. Dad is going to try to take these pieces off, which are plexiglass, and see if we can get them replaced with new pieces of plexiglass. Well, if it's plexiglass, why would they have done it in such small sheets instead of one big one?
It doesn't, maybe it is glass, but...
So it turns out getting the glass or plexiglass out was fairly easy. Getting rid of all of the stuff that kept the glass in so we could put new glass in was way more time consuming. So those of you who have done window glazing before may know this. I am learning things. This is one of the glazing points, one of the older style glazing points that came out of the glass. There's a newer style as well, and then there's the style that we're going to use today. So as I've been vacuuming around here, I have been finding these little guys. I don't know what it is. I think it's because there's normally glass here, but I love being able to stick my hand inside here. This is just so satisfying. I mean, even without having glass in here, just to be able to look out when that door is closed and see light outside again is fantastic. And then when this door is closed, I mean, it's just phenomenal. And Dad is gone. The pieces we had cut are 1/8 of an inch too tall for the space. So he's gone back to the hardware store to see if they can take a little bit more off. You can see here the results of all of that stuff on the ground. I had to dig down under at least 2 previous layers of glazing to get back to more or less the wood surface. And then this afternoon, when he gets back with the glass, we will be learning how to glaze in a window. So what I find interesting is that there is this older set of cafe rod hooks on the outside. So at some point, they had cafe rods on both the inside and the outside of the door. I don't see any cafe rods on the bottom, so whatever it was just hung straight down. She's beauty and she's grace. She's glass set in place. Look at that. Look at that. It's going to be marvelous. It's going to be marvelous. A mystery package has arrived in the mail addressed to both of us. It says, helping you live life from TSB. That's our bank, Tioga State Bank. It says, thank you. Congratulations on your new home, and thank you for choosing Tioga State Bank. Peter, would you like to do the honors?
Oh,
Oh, how cute is that?
they even have our names on it.
On it. I've never had my name on a spoon before.
How lovely.
Those are super cute. New home, new adventures, new memories established 2025. These are super cute.
Yes. I
Oh
love
my
those.
gosh. And then a napkin
Yep.
or a towel.
Dish towel kind of thing. Yep.
Oh my gosh, that is
This is
so
super
cute.
cute.
Is that supposed to? Oh, okay.
Hmm.
So it's just a little. Oh, it's a magnet.
Oh, very nice.
Yay! Actually, we need some magnets on the fridge. We haven't unpacked ours yet.
Yep.
Oh, and it's big. Yep. Oh, how lovely. Thank you, Tioga. Thank you so very much.
That is lovely of them.
Especially thank you to Crystal and Aaron for putting up with hundreds of hours of questions and consultations.
Yes.
We really, really appreciate this. This is very, very kind. So we're watching Peter put in glazing points.
Glazing points, yes.
Assuming they do not run away, which they have an annoying tendency to do because they are very tiny. In she goes, that tiny, tiny little thing. Right there. And she holds the glass in place. So for those of you who have never re-glazed a window before, this turns out to both be harder and easier than it looks. It's easy in concept, but because the wood has varying levels of wear and tear, some of these points go in really, really quickly, and some of them take a very long time to get in. And bless Peter for doing all of that work. It actually went fairly quickly once he got the rhythm of it down. Ah, doesn't that look stupendous? What project would be complete without a cat for supervision? Adars? Yeah. What do you think, Boo? We are learning and implementing as we go. Peter just asked the YouTubes for advice on how best to do this. And as Peter has explained it to me, the theory is you gob a lot of it up there so that you have a lot to cut away in a straight line. And that way, in theory, you don't need tape. So like many things that sound simple in concept, this was simple in concept and significantly more difficult to execute. Some people are born with a natural ability to see straight lines. Peter and I are not those people. So I think Peter did an incredible job eyeballing this, but there was definitely several times where he just took it off and started over. That's the nice thing about this. It's basically like Play-Doh. And so my job was to keep it warm in my hands, and then I would hand a gob to Peter and he would make a cut down the pane. The only trouble with this technique is that it requires a lot more of the weatherproofing than you actually need because you're putting on a lot and then cutting it off. So we had bought enough to do the actual amount needed around the door, but we hadn't bought enough to put on the extra gobs and then cut it away. So actually, in the middle of this project, Dad ran up to the hardware store one last time and bought us one more container of weatherproofing, which means that we now have an almost unused container of weatherproofing for future projects, but it did seem a little bit wasteful at the time. I have to say, though, it was really satisfying to put this on. I think it's all those years of playing with Play-Doh as a child. It just felt really natural. The other trouble with putting this on, which is something that we did realize, you can see at the top there, it does kind of smear over onto the glass. And because this is plexiglass, it was recommended that we try to get as much of that off while it was still wet as possible. We definitely didn't get all of it off, but you know, and there's a couple scratches in the plexiglass from the putty knife, which is also to be expected for the first time out. But you know, all things considered, for spending an afternoon and kind of just looking up some instruction and taking what Dad's experience had been before and running with it, I think these turned out really, really well. She's beauty and she's grace. She's our first attempt at glazing. She's done. As you can see, we are by no means professional glazing experts, but it will work, and that is the main point. We definitely still need to address the crack in the bottom and the crack in the two panels, but what a difference it makes to have that light. And then if we close both doors, this is the new front door. Isn't that lovely? It's open. It's glass. It looks like somebody made an effort, which is really what we wanted. So that is a great way to end the Great Dad extravaganza. So we're going to go out to dinner and celebrate a very successful week of mostly Dad and a little bit of us learning stuff. And we'll call it a really, really wonderful trip. So alas, this brings us to the end of Dad Days. And looking at this footage almost 3 months later, it is still incredible to me how much we got done with Dad's help and assistance, and how much what he taught us in that brief week has stayed with us. Peter still talks about how great it was to have my dad come out and how great it was to learn from him. My dad is a really good teacher. He explains things very thoroughly. He explains why things are the way they are, which Peter and I both really appreciate. So I'm hoping this won't be the only Dad Days that we have. It would be great to have Dad back in the fall or at any point in the future. So I want to say thank you to everyone who's been so complimentary to Dad in the comments, because he deserves every bit of it and more. It was an absolutely fantastic week of April, and I am so, so grateful to both my parents for financing and putting it together and allowing my dad the time and space to come out and work on the property with us. It was absolutely magical. So thank you, Mom and Dad. Peter and I cannot tell you how much we appreciate the support. It has meant everything to us. And there he goes. Bye, Dad.